Secrets grow in quiet rooms. They sit on shelves like dust and wait for one brave breath to move them. Tonight, a breath finally comes. And the house remembers how to tremble. I have carried this truth the way you carry a heavy box up a staircase that never ends. At first I thought I could set it down, just for a moment, just long enough to rest my arms, but the stairs kept rising, and the box pressed deeper into my ribs, and my breath turned thin and hot. I learned how to smile with my lips while my mouth tasted metal. I learned how to laugh in rooms where the walls leaned in to hear if I would slip. When the mirror asked who I was, I looked away because I knew the answer would not be kind. I told myself I was doing the right thing. I told myself I was protecting everyone, but silence is not a shield. It is a slow leak. It takes the air first, then the color, then the sleep. And one morning you wake up and you are made of creaks and sighs. A house with a door that does not close. All day I planned the words. I broke them into small pieces so they would not choke me. I tried them under my breath while the kettle hissed and the clock ticked and the light crossed the floor like a hand that did not know where to rest. I wrote the first line 10 times and folded it into my pocket, as if paper could hold a storm. I thought about the faces that would hear me. Cole with his jaw set when he tries to be strong. Alex with his eyes that swim but never spill. I pictured the moment after I spoke. The part where the room decides whether it will crack or bend. I feared the crack. I begged for the bend. I told myself that truth is a door, not a hammer, if you open it with care. But the hinge has rust. The handle is cold. My palm leaves a fog on the metal. I count to 5. I count again. There are many versions of how a confession begins. Some start with I'm sorry. Some start with listen. Mine starts with a memory I wish I could burn, even though the ash would live under my nails. It was late. The sky wore the color of old bruises. I heard a name that should not have been in our house, a name that carries the scent of old papers and a lock that never fit. I followed the sound the way a child follows a light under a door, certain it is safety, certain it is hope. But the light was only a hallway bulb, and the hope was only a thin blanket over a sharp thing. I touched the sharp thing, it touched back, and then the calendar lost a page, or maybe it grew 3 more, and I learned how time can be a liar. It does not heal all. It hides some. It hardens the rest. So I practiced the truth in a voice that did not shake. I said it plain in the empty room until the empty room felt full. I said it again until the syllables became steps I could climb. I thought of the cost. The cost is always there, like a bill under a magnet on the fridge, bright and patient. The cost is the way people look at you after. The cost is the way you look at yourself. The cost is the storm you send into other hearts and the way it may never fully leave. But there is also a cost to silence, and I have been paying it for too long. It has taken my sleep and my soft. It has taken the way I stand when someone says my name. It has turned my hands into maps of roads I never wanted to walk. I am done paying with the parts of me I still need. I will not dress this truth in fancy words. It does not deserve jewels. It deserves light. If I must be the match, then let the flame be small but honest. Let it show the dust on the mantle and the stain in the rug we keep under a chair. Let it show the corner where I left pieces of myself and pretended they were not mine. I am ready to say the thing that will change how our house sounds when it settles at night. I am ready to let the floorboards speak. I am ready to be the one who knocks on the door of my own life and waits, patient and shaking, to be let in. This is the part where breath is a bridge and fear is a river. I step. The air is thin, but it is there. My mouth is dry, but it opens. I do not start with I'm sorry. I do not start with listen. I start with my name, because I need to hear it from myself before anyone else can bear it. I hold the room in my eyes. I keep my hands still. I feel the weight lift a little, not because it is lighter, but because I am no longer climbing alone. And when the first line leaves me, it does not fall. It flies toward the people I love and asks them to be stronger than the silence that tried to keep us. It asks them to meet me at the bend, not the crack. It asks them to believe that a door can open without breaking the frame. And in that small, brave breath, I learn that the longest staircase in the world still ends at a landing. And sometimes the landing is simply the moment you decide to speak. The nights are the hardest. They do not bring rest, only noise. The clock hums like a swarm of bees inside his skull, and the shadows lengthen as if they too are keeping watch. Cole lies on his back, staring at the ceiling, tracing cracks that look like roads leading nowhere. He tells himself tomorrow will be better, that he will walk downstairs, sit at the table, and smile like he once did without effort. But when morning comes, the weight is still there, pressing on his chest, dragging his steps like stones tied to his ankles. Every task feels like a mountain. Every word feels like glass in his mouth. He does not say this aloud, because weakness is not allowed in the Walters house. At least, not weakness that bleeds through the skin. Cole was once the strong one, the one who carried boxes without complaint, the one who stood in storms and made others believe the rain was nothing but passing mist. But strength is a mask that grows heavy with time. He wears it still, though the edges cut into his face. He drinks to dull the ache, to quiet the gnawing thought that maybe he is not strong at all. The bottles line up like soldiers on the counter, and each one promises escape. Yet each morning, he wakes to find the battlefield untouched, the war still raging inside him. He stares at his reflection in the bathroom mirror and sees a man he does not recognize. The eyes are tired, the jaw clenched, the skin pale as though it has not seen sunlight in years. He whispers, "I'm fine," but the mirror knows better. The silence in the house only makes it worse. Jackie has her own storms, Alex hides in his shadows, and Cole stands between them, trying to hold the walls up with his bare hands. He feels them slipping, he feels the roof trembling. He wants to scream, to shatter every dish and tear every curtain, just to remind himself he is still alive, but he doesn't. Instead, he clenches his fists until his knuckles burn, slams the wall when no one can hear, and buries his cries under running water, so they sound like nothing but a leaky pipe. The struggle is not just inside, MIT is against the silence that pretends everything is fine. Memories haunt him most when he is alone. Nights at the table when laughter filled the air now play in his head like broken films, the reel skipping, the sound warped. He remembers promises he made to protect, to endure, to never falter. And yet here he is, trembling, fighting invisible battles, and losing ground with every breath. The shame eats at him. How can he protect others when he cannot even protect himself? How can he stand tall when his knees threaten to give way with every step? The world expects him to be unshakable, and yet inside, he is a man breaking in silence, splinter by splinter, bone by bone. There are moments when he wonders if speaking the truth would help, if admitting he is tired, afraid, drowning, would let someone reach for him. But then he hears the old words again: be strong, don't show weakness, don't let them see you fall. They repeat like chants in his skull, louder than his heartbeat, louder than his breath. So he stays quiet, even when the quiet is killing him. He smiles when he must, laughs when it is expected, and hides the war under his skin where no one dares to look. Yet the silence is dangerous, and deep down he knows it. Every day the walls close in tighter, and every night the bottle empties faster. His struggle is not just with his demons, it is with the weight of pretending he has none. There are people who fight with words, who throw them like stones until the air is full of bruises. Alex is not one of them. He has built his world out of silence, and it has become both shield and prison. When others shout, he listens. When others demand, he retreats. His voice has grown thin with disuse, and the house knows it. Rooms echo differently when he is inside, as though the walls themselves wait for a sound that never comes. His silence is not emptiness. It is heavy, a presence that presses on everyone around him. It is the silence of someone who has seen too much and chosen to bury it deep. So deep that even he wonders if it will ever surface again. Alex did not start this way. Once, his laughter could fill a room, bright and sharp like bells in the wind. Once, he asked questions that never ended, curious about the smallest details of life, tugging at threads no one else noticed. But somewhere between then and now, the laughter dimmed, and the questions turned into shadows he swallowed whole. He learned quickly that speaking truth made the ground unstable. Words had weight, and when dropped, they cracked the floorboards beneath him. He remembers the first time he said too much, remembers the look in their eyes, how everything shifted in a single breath. From that moment on, he decided words were dangerous. Silence became his ally, and he wore it like armor. But silence, once chosen, has a cost. It eats at him from the inside, carving away the softness, leaving only hard corners. At night, when the house settles and everyone else sleeps, Alex lies awake listening to the hum of electricity in the walls, the faint creak of wood stretching in the dark. He hears things others do not, memories replaying, confessions whispered through cracks in doors, the rhythm of a family unraveling thread by thread. He collects these fragments and stores them in the quiet corners of his mind. He never speaks of them, never asks questions, never admits he knows. And yet, the weight of knowledge grows heavier each day, pressing him further into silence. There are times he almost breaks. Times when he stands with his hand hovering over the doorknob, ready to step into the room and finally speak the words that haunt him. But his fingers never close around the handle. He lingers, listens, and retreats, the words dissolving before they ever leave his lips. He convinces himself that silence is safer, that truth will only cause damage. He watches Jackie tremble with secrets, sees Cole drowning in his own struggle, and tells himself that his silence is mercy, that keeping quiet protects them. But deep down he knows silence is not mercy. Silence is a wound left open, bleeding in shadows. When people look at Alex, they see calm, they see restraint, they see a boy who does not cause trouble, who holds his pain like water cupped in steady hands. But what they do not see is how close those hands are to shaking. What they do not see is the scream that lives at the back of his throat, raw and waiting, begging to be released. He dreams sometimes of opening his mouth and letting it out, a sound so fierce it shatters windows and splits the night sky. But in the dream, no one hears. He wakes with the taste of silence heavy on his tongue. As though even his dreams refuse to betray him. Alex's silence is not empty space. It is a storm held in a glass jar, swirling, breaking itself against invisible walls. It is the reason the house feels colder when he is near, the reason shadows stretch longer around him. He does not realize how much his silence shapes the family, how it pulls them into its orbit. Jackie hides in her confession, Cole drowns in his struggle. But Alex holds the most dangerous secret of all, the truth he refuses to speak. And every day that passes, every moment he stays quiet, that truth sharpens itself like a blade waiting to be unshe88. In his silence, there is love, fear, guilt, and something darker. He knows things no one else dares to admit. He has seen glances exchanged in doorways, heard phone calls muffled in the night, read letters not meant for his eyes. He has pieced together a puzzle that others pretend is scattered beyond repair. And yet, he says nothing, because silence keeps him safe. Silence keeps him hidden. Silence keeps the family from collapsing at least. That is what he tells himself. But silence also keeps him prisoner. And the longer he holds it, the more he wonders if he is protecting them, or simply destroying himself. The Walters house no longer breathes the way a home should. It creaks and groans like an old ship at sea, battered by waves too strong to resist. Each room carries a sound of its own. Jackie's whispers folded into paper. Cole's muffled curses behind closed doors. Alex's silence like a curtain drawn across the windows. These sounds do not live separately. They bleed into one another, turning the air heavy, making the walls tremble as though they know what is coming. The conflict is no longer waiting at the doorstep. It has seeped through the cracks, taken a seat at their table, and waits for them to notice. The first spark is small. A misplaced word, careless and sharp, lands between Jackie and Cole. It is nothing at first, just a question asked with the wrong tone, but Jackie's nerves are already stretched thin, and Cole's patience has been stripped raw. The spark grows, voices rise. The quiet Alex once kept begins to feel unbearable, his silence louder than any argument. Jackie clutches the edge of her chair as though it might hold her together. Cole slams his hand against the table, the sound echoing like a gunshot. Alex looks away, but his silence does not protect him this time. It brands him as complicit, and the weight of unspoken truths presses harder against his chest. What follows is not one argument, but many, layered over each other like overlapping storms. One slams into another, shouts crashing against slammed doors, the thud of footsteps on the stairs, the rattling of glass in its frame. Jackie's confession hangs in the air unfinished, her courage colliding with Cole's rage. Cole's struggle spills out in fragments: anger, denial, sorrow, none of it landing where it should. Alex stands in the middle of it all, a quiet center surrounded by chaos, but even a center cannot hold forever. His silence begins to fracture, not with words, but with a look, a flinch. The way his hands tremble when no one is supposed to see. The house itself becomes a witness. Light bulbs flicker, the floorboards moan, doors slam with a force that feels final. Shadows stretch long across the walls, twisting into shapes that resemble the very fears they are too afraid to name. The kitchen smells of cold coffee and spilled liquor, a reminder of Cole's long nights. The living room holds the echo of Jackie's soft weeping. Upstairs, Alex's bedroom hums with unanswered calls, his phone buzzing against the desk until the battery dies in silence. Every object becomes a piece of evidence, every corner a stage for secrets too heavy to stay hidden. As days blur, tension thickens like fog. Jackie begins leaving notes around the house, scraps of sentences she cannot bring herself to say out loud. Cole throws himself into tasks: fixing the sink, repainting the porch, anything to keep his hands busy. Though the rage still simmers beneath his skin, Alex avoids the family altogether, disappearing for hours, his absence heavier than his presence. And yet, even in their separate corners, they orbit each other. Every move one makes sends ripples through the others. They are bound, whether they want to be or not, and the cord between them is fraying. The climax does not come as a single explosion but as a series of fractures, each one deeper than the last. Jackie finally raises her voice, and it cracks. Not from anger, but from the years of holding everything in. Cole shouts back, words fueled by pain more than rage, words that bruise even as they fall apart. Alex finally speaks, but his voice is so soft it cuts sharper than a scream. You don't hear me because you don't want to. The room falls silent, stunned by the weight of it. For the first time, the silence belongs to Alex, and it is not protective, it is accusing. Then comes the stillness, the aftermath, a house holding its breath. Eyes avoid each other, hands tremble, the air feels colder. No one knows what the next moment will bring, healing or destruction, forgiveness or fracture. But the damage is visible, etched into the way Jackie clutches her own arms, the way Cole stares at the floor, the way Alex refuses to meet anyone's gaze. The Walters are no longer standing at the edge of collapse, they have stepped into it. Conflict has a way of reshaping everything it touches. What was once whole is now cracked. What was once hidden is now exposed. The Walters cannot go back, and deep inside, each of them knows it. The confession, the struggle, the silence, they are not separate stories anymore. They are threads tangled beyond repair, pulling tighter with every breath. And as the house falls quiet again, the audience is left with the chilling truth. Sometimes the loudest battles are fought without ever leaving the walls of home.